Hello everyone, this is Zed Run Explained with Goose Gang Racing, episode 3. In this episode, I'll be talking about distance preference and how to value a racehorse. So let's just jump right in. So the first thing to do when you're trying to find your distance preference is to just basically tell if your horse is a variance horse or a stability horse, because you'll want to go about finding distance preference in slightly different ways. For variance horses, you will want to try it to figure them out in 12-horse races because flames will be a lot easier to get. Whereas in 6-horse, you might lose a few flames randomly because you have too much variance. So it might it's hard to kind of pin down that exact distance. Stability horses are a lot easier to find because of the addition to 6-horse races, where you can actually just tell right away if you're a favorite to finish in the top half or not. And you can kind of move your horse around in all these distances and figure out which ones you are flaming over higher level horses in. So each horse has one ideal distance, but some horses can actually run in 2 distances, but there's always one distance where they're always strongest. So I'm going to be using Z-Lead today, and I'm going to show you how to drill down to your results and actually interpret what you're seeing on Z-Lead. So when you're just starting off and you're trying to basically figure out where to run your horse, the first thing to do is to check the parents. And you do this by going on Zedge. But if you don't have the ability to actually see the exact DP of your parents, you can just go and check their race results and see which distances they flame out the most. So in this example, I'll be using my newly bred horse, Piccadilly Goose, from the parents Piccadilly Jim and Palmerston Goose. And as you can see here, Piccadilly Jim has a DP of 62, and Palmerston's Goose has a DP of 31. So I would expect this horse to be a 2,000 meter runner, but there are different things that can affect your horse's distance preference. So as you breed horses, you will slowly lose variance, and you have the added ability to get a grandparent role, which will basically impact the breed, and you might get some results slightly different than just the average of the 2 parents. So you can see here on Palmerston's Goose, both of the parents actually have very high DP. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think I got a grandparent role with this horse, and it actually has slightly higher DP than I was expecting. So let's just go through the free race results for Piccadilly Goose. So the first things to look at when you're doing your first round of free racing is to just try out every distance that you think you might have a chance in. So I tried 2,000, 22, 24, and 26. So the first couple of races I did were 2,000, and I wasn't getting very good results there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I have 28% flames at 2,000, which is not good enough for a double-up horse, which is what I'm trying to breed here. The other thing to note is that my horse is level 230, and it might just lose flames to higher level horses because that's just the nature of the game. But with new level bands, this horse can still be competitive. Just need to figure out what distance I need to run it in first. So the first thing I looked at were the flame results. So I had better results at 2,400 and honestly, maybe even 2,600. But I wasn't expecting to have to go up that high, so I don't have enough results for 2,600 for this. But just looking off the results here, you can see that I have lots of 4ths and 5ths, which means my horse is probably very stable. And I have a 90% flame rate at 2,400 meters, which is great considering I'm also going against much higher level horses in these free races. It's also important to consider sample size and competition when you're looking at the results. So like I said before, higher levels will take away flames from you, even if there ended up being actually a worse horse if your levels were equal, which is why the level bands actually help a lot for these lower level horses. So based off of this, I'm very excited about 2,400 meters and possibly 2,600 meters. So let's dig down further into the results. The first thing you want to do, especially for these double up style horses, is you want to just first check who you lose flames to, if at all. So on this 2,400 meter race, which is one of the only races that I lost flames, I lost flames to a level 260, 277, and 294. So the way you check to see if these are considered good flames to lose or flames that make sense to lose, you kind of dive deeper onto the lower level horse that you lost flames to. So in this case, it is Convertible from Singudo Stables. So this is a level 260 versus my level 233. And I deemed this an acceptable loss of flames because you can see here, I took their free race results from Z-Lead, and they have over 100 free races at 2,400 meters. they have an 83% heat rate, and you can see here they have a ton of thirds and fourths. So this means that this horse is also very stable, but it has a 30 level advantage on me. So it makes sense that I would lose these flames. So I'm going to continue racing my horse at 2400 and 2600, basically to see if I have any more potential there. So this is roughly what you want to do for each flame that you lose, especially for these double up style horses. And this is a very good way to figure out your distance preference in relatively few races, because flames actually take a larger simulation, and if that way you don't actually need to go through and run 1,000 races to see how your horse would actually do. You can just use the flame results and kind of take the flames for what they mean, which is your horse's favorite to finish in the top 3. So if you ever lose flames to a horse that's lower level than you, as a horse that you're hoping to be a double up style horse, that would probably be a sign that distance is wrong for you, or you might have just a little too much variance, or that horse might be super strong. So again, it's all very, very reliant on competition, but as you get better with the game, you can really easily identify things that make sense, or things that are not necessarily going to kill the horse that you want to run, but you might notice things that are not as good for the horse. So the next thing I wanted to talk about in this video is valuing horses. So there's 2 basically ways to make money in Zed Run, and that's racing and breeding. So in order to kind of properly calculate how much you should pay for a horse, you need to first know the expected ROI, how much money you can actually put into the horse, and basically calculate how fast you can recoup your initial investment. For breeding, you want to consider the gender of the horse and the breed type. So for the gender of the horse, females are genuinely more valuable, because they can only have breed 1 foal per month, whereas males can breed 3. So in general, when you're building a stable, you want to get a really, really strong male horse and then get 3 female horses that match it. This way you can participate in maidens and try and make some money that way. And then the last thing here for breed type, the breed types of Zed Run don't have anything to do with the racing ability, but if you are paying up for a horse, you want to have as many breeds possible from that horse. And this is why Genesis is much better than bred horses, because they can breed forever. So you don't ever have to worry about running out of breeding ability. And lastly here, I'm just going to kind of quickly go through some boring math, so that way you can kind of get a rough idea of how you should value these runners. So this is just the racing side of it. So a top end double up runner can get about 15 to 20% ROI in double ups. And the way you can kind of extrapolate this out is by taking the minimum buy-in fee that you'll be running times 8 races per day. And one thing to note is that you can make more money running 1v1s, but that's quickly drying up as people are kind of figuring out exactly what to run in them. So I would just say, to be safe, just do double ups for now. So 8 races a day, 7 days a week, times 8 weeks, which is roughly how long a horse can stay dominant in today's meta. Because again, like I said before, as you breed down, you're actually losing variance each way. So I imagine that the future of the game, we will have basically every month new bred horses that are even lower variance and might even have better DP. Even though you lose that, you could still get lucky rolls. So I imagine the double up scene will be constantly changing. So this is why I only value horses at 2 months of running, because anything could change and you don't want to lose money on an investment like this. Of course people do, but this you can do things to try and prevent yourself from losing money like this. So over the course of 2 months, my horse Louis the Greek is expected to make $224. So I have him valued at 1 Ethereum. Of course, I'm not expecting anyone to buy him at that much, but this horse has been dominant in double ups for basically the entire 2.0 racing, and he's crushing people in 1v1s. So he's making way more money than just this 23% in double ups. He also has very dominant distance preference, so I think he's a very valuable asset to have for the future, because he's a very well-bred horse. He has lots of sprinters in his bloodline. So I went through all the trouble of finding him. I made him approved racer, so I value him more than what technically the numbers would say. So that's the other thing in Zed Run. is that there's a buy side and a sell side. So when you're buying a horse, you want to look at being able to recoup your money as fast as possible. But when you're selling a horse, you have to look at it as I'm losing that revenue as well. So if I were to sell someone this horse today, I'm basically losing $224 worth of revenue in my mind as well. So I need to kind of add that to the price in my mind. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for me to sell it. So there is always that kind of buy side, sell side that you have to kind of navigate and look for better deals. So the next video, I kind of don't really know what to do. So I'm going to read your comments and kind of see what you guys are interested in, and maybe even get into streaming, because I know Zed Run isn't exactly the most engaging content to just like watch a YouTube video of, but I think the streaming side will actually be a little more entertaining. That way I can kind of talk to you guys live and answer any questions you may have, while also just kind of, running my horses, having fun, messing around with everyone. So if you're interested in that, subscribe, leave a like, comment on this video if you want anything next, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.